It seems like every day we are getting new leaked information regarding Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, and for today's video, I'm going to provide more details that we've recently learned within the community, and I've already made 2 other videos talking about Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, and I recommend watching them so that way you have a better understanding of some of the details I'm going to be discussing within this video, and also there's details within those videos I will not be mentioning whatsoever within this video. So that way you have a better understanding of what some of the leaked information is going around when it comes to the next Call of Duty title. As always, whenever you hear leaked information for a video game such as Call of Duty, take it with a grain of salt because we don't know if any of these features are going to make its way to the full game when it's available to the public. And also, there's a lot of people out there who like to make up leaked information just so they can get attention. So just really keep that in mind. And with that being said, the information I'm going to be discussing within this video mostly came from Tom Henderson. He has been a credible leaker within the video game industry, not just for Call of Duty, but for Battlefield 2042 as well. And he has provided some information on this next Warzone experience as well as Modern Warfare 2. And so that's where most of this information is coming from. I'll make sure to have links in the description to his Twitter account and some of the articles that he was able to share with us. Same with the Ghost of Hope. He has been another credible leaker that I have been taking note of, and I've been sharing his leaks within my videos as well. And I'll also remember to have his link of his Twitter profile in the description as well, so that way you guys can check them out for yourselves, and of course follow them so that way you can always stay up to date on some new leaked information regarding Modern Warfare 2. And so with that being said, let's dive right into this new leaked information, starting with all of the 18 different locations on the new Warzone map, which is a little surprising that we got this leaked information this early. But it looks like there's going to be 18 different locations on the new Warzone map, and the names are going to be Oasis, War-Torn, Quarry, Oil Field, Modern City, which is supposed to have the Modern Warfare 2 high-rise multiplayer map inside of it, Caves, which is supposed to have the Modern Warfare 2 Afghan multiplayer map inside of it, Dam, Marshes, Harbor, Sierra, Observatory, Mountain Town, which is supposed to be Favela from Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, Graveyard, Old Town, Shipwreck, Fish Town, Fort, and Airport, which is supposed to be the terminal multiplayer map that we have seen throughout multiple Call of Duty titles. There isn't really much to actually add on to these different points of interest. Oasis is actually a multiplayer map from Modern Warfare 3. I have no idea if this is the same multiplayer map that they're bringing into Warzone. That would be fucking amazing if they did that, because personally, I loved the multiplayer map Oasis in Modern Warfare 3. It was actually a DLC map and was one of my most favorite maps to play on. It just flowed super great. It wasn't really considered a small map. I would say it's more medium to large scale type map, and I really did enjoy it. And also, I have no idea if any of these like points of interest are actually going to make its way into Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer. It's kind of odd how we don't really have any leaked information from Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, but regardless, we are getting some throwback maps into this Warzone map, such as High Rise, which is going to be in Modern City, and of course Afghan in the Caves location. And of course, Favela is going to be making a return in Mountain Town, which I think will be really cool. I think Favela would actually play really well in Warzone, and so the only issue with it is like having that multiple buildings you can enter in, which of course was really annoying when you were playing for Dansk and you were like running around in downtown area. But regardless, you know, like for example, Shipwreck, I think is a map that we've seen familiar with Modern Warfare 3. Terminal actually making its way into Warzone as well, which I'm surprised it didn't do with Verdansk at first. But regardless, it's really interesting to see that we already have the leaked information regarding the names of these locations. But like I said, anything is subject to change. Maybe these names will actually end up changing when we do get access to Warzone 2, but those are the points of interest. The next thing I want to discuss when it comes to Warzone 2 is Strongholds. This is something I've already talked about in a previous video, and so basically Strongholds are supposed to be areas where you can get access to your loadout. I don't know if you can actually buy them from buy stations, if that's even going to be a feature in Warzone Warzone 2. But regardless, it looks like there's going to be 25 to 30 strongholds in the Warzone map. And it's basically meant to add something additional rather than just going up to a buy station and just buying your loadout. It wants to add like some objectives and of course AI controlled bots you have to go up against in order to actually earn your loadout. And so I think that's kind of an interesting element. We've seen this happen in Fortnite and we still see it there to this day. We kind of see it within Caldera as well. I don't actually know if bots are still in Caldera, but I do remember them adding that within that map. And of course, there's also several different tiers of strongholds. So of course, the stronger the tier or the higher the tier of the stronghold, the harder it is and the bigger reward is what I imagine it will be. So it's not just you'll get your loadout, you can maybe get some really high-end kill streaks like an advanced UAV or whatever, a specialist bonus possibly if that's even going to be in the game. So that'll be really interesting to see. But yes, like I've said already, there's going to be AIs that's going to be guarding these strongholds. And of course, there's going to be objectives within these strongholds that you have to complete. And they're always going to be different. It could be like capturing an objective. It could be defusing a bomb. And you have to actually complete these objectives in order to earn your loadout. And I can understand why some people won't actually like this feature. But as of right now, this is the only way we know that you can earn a loadout. There's possible that maybe there's other ways you can earn loadouts, so that way you don't have to go through a stronghold if you don't want to. I feel like that's going to be the case, but of course, you know, we don't really have too much information about Warzone 2 and how exactly it's going to be played. But another thing is that if your team or squad goes into these strongholds, you take it over, complete the objective, get your loadout, and you leave or whatever, if another squad rolls around, they are not able to actually get access to the stronghold, or at least they're not able to go up against the bots like the previous squad did, and of course be able to earn their loadout and complete an objective. Like that will already be completed, and so you kind of have to, it's kind of like first dibs on whoever goes to a stronghold, I suppose, when it comes to getting the rewards, which I think is totally fair. And personally, I am not too upset if this actually is going to end up being the case, because it's, you know, it's like every man for themselves in Warzone, right? You want to be the last one standing, so I think it's totally fair in this scenario that when a stronghold is completed, no other squad can go there and like try and take it over for themselves. Another thing added to Warzone 2 is a train. Of course, we saw this within Verdansk later on when throughout the Modern Warfare seasons. We don't actually have a train on Caldera now that I think about it. It'd be really cool if we had something like that, but it looks like there's going to be a train on this new Warzone map, which I guess is cool. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen this before in Warzone, but also Warzone and DMZ, the third game mode that's going to be available in Modern Warfare 2, they're going to be running on the same map. This is something that I actually was expecting them to do, and if you guys don't know, DMZ is supposed to be this Escape from Tarkov type mode within Modern Warfare 2, and I've already talked a lot about it within previous videos, so make sure you go ahead and check them out. But I'm not surprised that Warzone and DMZ are going to be using the same map. This is something they did within Modern Warfare and the Spec Ops game mode, where Spec Ops, the maps you would play on, were actually the same locations that you saw within Warzone. And of course, you could play Spec Ops before Warzone even came out. And I didn't really play Spec Ops too much. I think the majority of players can agree that Spec Ops was not a great mode in Modern Warfare. And so I'm not really surprised they're going to do the same thing here within DMZ. However, there was some rumors or leaked information like saying there was supposed to be like 4 different maps within the DMZ game mode. It's possible that those 4 different maps are just like different sections of the Warzone 2 map, but I guess we'll have to wait and see exactly what that's actually going to entail, and of course how that DMZ mode actually is going to play out. And I also want to give an update on the armor plate system within Warzone 2. This is something I briefly talked about in a previous video, but it looks like within the armor plate the system that we see within Warzone 2, it looks like the only way to actually put on armor plates is if you have different armored vests. At least that's from what my understanding is, and from what Tom Henderson has said. So it looks like there's going to be like around 3 different tiers of armor vests that you can acquire. So the first tier of armor vest, you can only put on 1 armor plate. The second tier of armor vest will actually allow you to have 2 plates on at the same time. And of course, the third tier armor vest allows you to have 3 armor plates on at the same time. So instead of just finding an armor plate and putting it on, that's not really what's going to be the case within Warzone 2. You're going to have to find vests in order to actually gain that extra health. And so this is kind of a hybrid between the blackout armor system and the current armor plate system we see within Warzone. And we'll have to see how it plays out, because I know a lot of people are pretty spoiled within Warzone and just finding armor plates and just being able to put them on right away. I'll Also, I have no idea like what this means when it comes to your reserve, like how many extra armor plates you can actually carry. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I guess this could tie in a little bit with the inventory and quote-unquote bag system that we see within this game, which I want to also update on because this is something I did previously talk about. So it looks like that the items you pick up within the Warzone map are going to have different type of weights to them that take up a certain amount of slots when you put it within your inventory or the bag that you're carrying. And so, for example, like an assault rifle might take up 6 slots within your bag, and your bag may only be able to carry like 20 slots, for example. However, it sounds like there's going to be different tiers of bags that you can grab. So like the tier 1 bag will only carry 20 slots, the tier 2 bag will carry 25 slots, and the tier 3 bag, which is probably like a lot harder to find, will carry like 30 slots, for example. And so, you know, not every item is going to like have the same amount of weight to them. Like a lethal and tactical may only take up 2 slots, where a perk may only take up 3 slots, for example. I imagine that perks are going to be lootable within Warzone 2 now that we see them lootable within Warzone right now, which they currently added not too long ago. And so I'm curious if they're trying to transition into Warzone 2 and that's why perks are now lootable, if that's why they decided to do that. I have no idea. It seems like some updates we've been getting to Vanguard and Warzone recently, I feel like they're going to somehow correlate into Warzone 2, and so they're trying to get players to transition to it. I don't know, that's just kind of my opinion. But regardless, this bag and inventory system is going to be really similar to Blackout, which I don't think Blackout had a terrible inventory system. I liked the way it worked. However, for console players, or at least people who used a controller, it was really hard to maneuver through your inventory, and sometimes it could get you killed because you're kind of like have to force yourself to stay still and, you know, kind of like hover over the different items to move them where you want them to be, or attach certain like attachments on your weapon to what you want it to be, or whatever the case may be. It was a little janky. If you're playing like with mouse and keyboard, it worked a lot better, but unfortunately not a lot of people played Black Ops 4 on PC, so Blackout wasn't really a game mode that was too popular that people played, at least on PC anyway. But regardless, using a controller was pretty difficult to actually maneuver when it came to Blackout, unless you played enough and then you could like really master it. And so with Warzone that we see right now, we don't have a bag or really inventory system. When a player dies, they don't drop a bag and you go through it to like loot the specific items you want. Like everything is just like piled onto the ground, and you have to look carefully to like what weapon or equipment you want to pick up. So we'll have to see how this works out. Hopefully they find a really good solution when it comes to maneuvering through the inventory when you're trying to loot somebody, because it wasn't super great in Blackout, but you know, it didn't seem like it was too hard to actually figure out and like maneuver as fast as possible once you got used to it. But regardless, they want something that's going to be really easy to figure out, that doesn't take a long time to actually, you know, being able to loot an enemy player's items, right? Because that's the whole point of Warzone. When you take out an enemy, you want to see what kind of loot they have, like for example ammo, which I wonder if ammo is going to take up some inventory slots as well. That's actually going to be kind of interesting, but yeah, we'll have to see how it actually plays out. The last thing I want to mention within this leaked information video is an interrogation feature, and what this is that when you down an enemy player in Warzone, you can go up to them similar to how you can go up to your teammate and revive them when they're down, and instead of reviving like an enemy player, you would actually interrogate them, and when you interrogate them, it would reveal where their teammates are actually located on your map, on your mini map is what I assume. Kind of similar to Rebirth Island, when you take out an enemy player and you fully like take them out while they're down, it shows pings of where their teammates are actually out on the mini map, giving you an idea like of how closely they may actually be to you. And so with this interrogation feature, you have to go up to a down enemy player to identify where their teammates are actually at. And I think this is kind of an interesting feature. It's pretty similar to what we kind of see within Rainbow Six Siege as well, I suppose. And so I'm curious how this would actually work in Warzone. I don't really see it being an issue at all, honestly. I think it's a pretty unique feature. I don't know if this is something that you can just do by default, like anytime you want in the game, or maybe you have to pick up an item and you have to keep it within your inventory to interrogate an enemy player. Based on what Tom Henderson said on his blog post, that it looks like the very early stages of this interrogation feature, you use like a quote-unquote truth serum or a stim shot to actually poke into the enemy player to like interrogate them, and it takes about 6 seconds to actually do the full interrogation. But it seems like it's in really early stages, but I think this would be a really cool feature to actually have within a Battle Royale game, and I'm curious to hear more information about it, and hopefully the next coming days, if not just whenever Warzone 2 actually does get revealed. And that is actually going to conclude today's video. It was a lot longer than I was hoping it was going to be, but there was a lot of information information to cover, and I hope you guys stuck through it all the way. If you did, make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and so you could also stay up to date for more Modern Warfare 2 news and information, and I shall catch you guys later.